Mike's Daily Podcast.
Stay home, don't go out, don't talk to anyone, don't touch anything.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Oh, God, are you sick of that? If anyone says wash my hands one more time, I'm going to punch them in the... No, I'm not. I'm going to hug them. That's even worse, huh? If you hug somebody, that's like the worst thing. People need to stay away from each other. It's like that scene from Airplane where they're supposed to, they're having safe...
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Safe love in Airplane, and they're wearing these all-over bodysuits because that
Mike's
was the big joke
Daily
in the 80s
Podcast.
with that other big thing, that other big sickness we had to worry about, that other virus, so many sicknesses to keep track of. One thing about all of this is that we are becoming, as a society, way too much hypochondriacal. It is like we are all now worried about everything. We used to be worried about everything, but not so much the disease thing. You'd have your hypochondriacs amongst us, and now we're all hypochondriacs. And now the ones that were hypochondriac before are really hypochondriac, yak. Welcome to Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Ton today, the last place on earth. I am here with people, all of us social distancing 6 feet away. But yes, today we're going to get to all kinds of important things because I've got a myriad of them. But I would like to say at the beginning of the show, you can listen to me. I'm actually on the air now in Contra Costa County on 92.1 FM, KKDV, kkdv.com. You can listen to that through the radio.com app. And you can also hear me tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, 6 a.m. to noon. I'll be on the station playing more variety from the 80s to today.
And here's today's podcast picture.
The podcast picture today, very good. It's of me hugging you. No. Should I? Wow, was it 5 years ago? Yes. That's when I had Kai Alfred Hillig and Peter Jordan, two amazing musicians, songwriters, stopped by. Oh, and that's back when Basil had hurt his left paw. He had a big old bandage on it, and he laid on top of singer Kai Alfred Hillig. And we had such a good time. I posted pictures back then about that. Oh yeah, Basil, wasn't it a blast? Poor Basil was going through tough times back then. And now he can't walk anymore. But he is still enjoying life because I play with him as much as I can and as much as he will allow. But the podcast picture, is that going to be any of that? No, I think we'll go to something more recent. But possibly this nice picture of Lake Elizabeth. How about that? Or as my friend Kevin from Addendum with Kevin says, it's duck poop soup. Goose poop soup of Lake Elizabeth. Maybe we'll do that. See that at mikesdailypodcast.com. Doing a lot of Fremont pictures lately. So yes, I am slightly worried about people that are hypochondriacs because that's when you get a little bit irrational. And that is when I cannot talk to you anymore, because when you're irrational and you speak with a very attitude in my face, and I can't reason with you because you're so out there in wackadoo land, and I can't talk to you anymore, that's when we have a communication breakdown, and I'm worried about that. The communication breakdown of wackadoos that are so worried about illness in general, and that the phobia has gotten to such a extent that then I can't speak with you, and then you can't be a normal person. We, as a society, we need to be social. We need to get things done. And the fact that here in California, we do have this shelter-in-place law happening. Well, it's not a law. It's just a suggestion. Well, it's strongly suggested by our Governor, Gavin Newsom, that we should stay home. But there are things that need to be done. There are thankfully, everyone, all of our people in power in California have said essential duties, essential jobs may continue, and you may travel to get your social, your essential, whatever. It's essential, ladies and gentlemen, or whatever you identify genderly. There are essential things that need to be done. I hopped on BART today. I was the only one in my car, although I saw a lot of people on BART, actually, in other cars. But I said, I'm going to get on this car because I'll be all by myself. And when I got on the bus today, it was me and one other guy and the driver. But I got home. I got to work, and I don't know what's going on. I work at several radio stations throughout the Bay Area. I'm not going to say which radio station specifically, but all of a sudden we were off the air. And what's funny is because the last time I was at this particular radio station, it also went off the air. So I'm wondering if I'm bad luck, but it was like, I can't do anything. That's why today's podcast is going to be a little bit rushed, because usually I'd have a little bit more time to do this podcast in Podcastro Valley 10. But because certain technical things went awry, I had to attend to matters with that. But because there is an essential thing, we are, as a society, we need to still function in the fact that we need to get fresh food from the supermarkets. We need to still talk to people. We can't all become hermits. That's essential. We need to talk to one another. We need to check in on how everybody's doing. Oh, I love this story. So one of the stories I was rummaging through as I was getting ready for my radio show on KKDV was that Costco is not accepting returns for, let me see if I remember this, toilet paper, paper towels, Lysol, all those sanitary clean wipes. Oh, today somebody said to me, hey, let's practice social distancing. And I'm like, dude, you walk too close to me, all right? Back off. Give me a little space. I'm not going to run away from you like a little scaredy cat. I have a little bit of faith in my immunity, but still, immune system. But gosh, you walk towards me. Dang it. Are we going to punch each other now? If I punch you, does that mean I might catch something from you? See, that makes us all less violent as a society. Maybe that's a good thing. Isn't that, if we're nowhere near each other, then we can't get into scuffles with each other. I guess maybe we can over the internet, witness Twitter and trolls and whatnot. Okay, but anyway, as I was doing research, so all those people that were stocking up, and now they've got way too much toilet paper, so I want to return it now. Costco's saying, no, you can't return toilet paper. You can't return your bottled water that you got too much of. You can't return rice. Apparently, people bought a lot of rice from Costco, and they bought too much. I guess it's too heavy to move all of it around at the house. Now they got nowhere to live. They got too much stuff. So now there's no place. I can't move around my house because I got too much stuff. So I'm going to return it to Costco. Nope, Costco says no. And Costco usually had this return policy that was amazing. You could return anything that was broken except, well, there was one thing. I think beds? No. Clothes? No. There was one, I forget what it used to be. They had, you could return anything policy. There was someone who I knew who wore clothes for a while. He was able to return that shirt, even though he had worn it. He was able to return it to Costco. I one time, this happens a lot actually at Costco. I bought onions, a bag of onions, and a couple of the onions were rotten through. I guess I didn't notice it when I bought it, but they sold it to me like that. So I returned it. They accepted it. Always check the food at Costco, by the way, because like that bag of broccoli, oftentimes there's a bad broccoli in there. Be careful. Just all I'm saying, look through it first. And the eggs, of course. Which, by the way, my lovely lady friend, I bought one of those crates of eggs, and I haven't been to Costco, by the way, since February 11th. And I'm still living off the stuff that I stocked up on. And this is before we all went absolutely crazy and wackadoo over the COVID-19. I still got a bunch of stuff that I haven't gone through completely. I still got like about a eighth of my package of toilet paper. I think I've still got about 7 rolls left, so I think I'm going to make it. By the way, somebody stole 66 rolls of toilet paper from a hotel in Florida, and he got arrested, thankfully. Yeah, so at some point, I'm feeling it now that we're coming down off of our hysteria a little bit, especially with stories like a virus that was used to fight Ebola apparently has cured a man of coronavirus recently. So some of this is more and more of this news is coming out. And the fact that big companies like Walmart are hiring like 150,000 more people, something to that effect. So I think we're coming around a corner. I don't know. I may be wrong. But let's just try and communicate. Let's just try and realize that we're all essential in some ways, but that we still need the things that make our society operate. We need that to be stocked with people, and that we have enough folks that are working at Costco to tell the idiots that are returning things they overstocked on, no! Hey, look who's out here at Cafe Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. There are some people here, and perhaps we should say hi to them at this point as I am leading up to who they are now.
Hello, Mike Matthews. It's Chely Shoehart, Gift Shop Supervisor. Oh my God, like everything you talked about is like so mean.
Why is it mean?
Because Mike Matthews, like people can't help it if they want to stay home and not spread the virus.
Right, no, I'm saying they can stay home. I'm just saying don't overstock on too much stuff that you don't need. Or if you do, share it with people who don't have it in your neighborhood.
Mike Matthews, you're so mean.
I am not. Look who else is here. Hello, Mike. This is Floyd the Floorman. And this is John Deere, the engineer. Mike, you should wrap it up. You don't have much time. What, you mean I'm not going to be alive much longer? No, you're going to be leaving this cafe anyway soon, right? You got stuff to do. Yes. We're all, by the way, talking, we're all about 6 feet away from each other, so that's good. I'm just so sad that all these restaurants that I pass have the little white piece of paper, the little letter piece of paper size page, size paper that says, "We're not open now. We'll be closed till April 7th. Sorry." Or, "You can order food from us, just don't come inside and get it." Huh? What? How is that gonna... What do you think about all this? You can call me 336MM Daily. That's 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews. Daily as in what this podcast has been since like Tuesday, amazingly enough. Wow. Wow shuts wow. Oh, I talked to my mom. She's doing well. She says what she has noticed in Florida, in Daytona Beach specifically, is the police at the beaches is enforcing that 6 feet rule. They are coming by and saying, hey, back off. Back off, man. I'm social distancing. So they are enforcing the social distancing in Daytona Beach, Florida. My mom said also that one of her big gatherings, her big get-togethers, there was less people, although there was still like 70 people that showed up to some event she went to. Yeah. And their social security, the elderly people that use the social security should probably be doing the social distancing. so that they can continue to get the Social Security. Oh, Kenny Rogers died. 81. Natural causes, not the coronavirus. Much of my life had to do with Kenny Rogers. In fact, he decorated my life. Growing up, my mom loved Kenny Rogers. She went out and bought the Gambler album. Gambler, he broke even. Because in Kenny Rogers' final words was an ace that I could keep. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Kenny Rogers also, he used to talk about just love. In fact, he once did, when I did the Santa Fe Cafe in Ventura, he recorded what we call a liner. He just recorded himself saying, "Hey, Mike, love the Santa Fe Cafe. Hey, maybe you should sell my chicken here." Because that's when he had his Roasters chicken. Remember the one that Seinfeld made fun of on his show? Because Kramer kept wanting to eat it. And he was getting blinded by the light from the neon. Kenny Rogers restaurants always had that bright neon red sign. And it was blinding Kramer. Okay. Kenny Rogers had so many songs that I loved as a kid. One of my favorites was Blaze of Glory. Let's go out in a blaze of glory. All good things must end. By the way, this beat that I'm doing, that was the beat for most of Kenny Rogers' songs in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Like two heroes in a story. Let's go out like we came in a blaze of glory. And he passed away in a blaze of glory. Good old Kenny Rogers. Well, not really. He didn't die in a blaze. He just died of natural causes, which is good, I guess. I'd like to go that way. But let's not get too morbid on this show. He also had my other big one was It's Your Heart. It's a little bit faster, this beat. But it's your heart that talks you into staying where you are. Love will turn you around. Dun, 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 dun. Did you know Don Henley was one of the backup singers? Oh, and his songwriting team that he employed in the early 80s consisted of Michael Jackson, Lionel Richie, and Richard Marx. What a trinity of people that got big in the 80s, of course, solo style, but they also wrote for Kenny Rogers, and Kenny Rogers used to remark, "Yeah, we used to all hang out at my studio." Everybody loved Kenny. I'm just going to say that right now. You might try and prove me wrong. Call me 336MM Daily. 3 + 3 = 6. MM is the Mike Matthews Daily, isn't what this podcast is. You might prove me wrong and say, no, somebody hated Kenny Rogers. No, I will disagree with you. By the way, he is the only person in the history of music that had number one songs in 4 decades on the country charts. He had a number one in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and in the early O's, he had a number one with the song called, Buy Me a Rose. I think it was called Buy Me a Rose. Alison Krauss sang with him on it, and Billy Dean. And he did a tour, I think about 3 years ago. It was like a farewell tour. Alison Krauss, Chris Stapleton, and others sang with him on the tour, Little Big Town. Let me just wrap this all up. Oh, and Lionel Richie wrote for Kenny Rogers' Lady. He had so many number one songs and crossover hits. Islands in the Stream, That Is What We Are. With Dolly Parton, he sang that song, It's True. Part of the self-quarantine for Madonna. She's staying at home with her family. And she did a thing. So a lot of these singers are doing self-quarantine, home quarantine, staying at home, sheltering in place with their families, and then doing these Instagram stories. So Madonna covered her song Vogue, and only she sang about fried fish and pasta. She changed the lyrics to that. but using the song Vogue. She's sheltering in place with her kids. Kelly Clarkson's sheltering in place with her family in a cabin in Montana. And in her Instagram, she sang a song that Mariah Carey did on her first album called Vanishing. It was never a single, but I love that song. You're vanishing, drifting away. And Mariah Carey saw it and said, excellent, I want to do a cover of one of your songs from your 2017 album called Heat. And finally, Pink, I guess she's also self-quarantining, and her family decided to take her husband's hair and basically lop it off. They shaved it down the middle to do a reverse mohawk, and then Carey Hart. They also, not Corey Hart, but Carey Hart. No sunglasses at night with this guy. Never surrender. Never surrender. Never surrender. No, but then they shaved all of Carrie's hair off, which I love because I'm bald. But you won't see a picture of me bald. Not on today's podcast picture, but you can see the podcast picture at mikesdailypodcast.com. And with more about all of that, it is Ariel. And next show, it'll be the wonderful Benita, the Disgruntled Fiddle Player, and the Brewmaster. Oh my gosh, is the next show going to be 2000? Episode 2000? Yikes. Okay. Tune in for that. Tell all your friends about this podcast, please. And at some point, we're going to be on radio.com on the app for that and actually working. But we're on every other single podcast and streaming app you can find out there, and all the places to listen to the show at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!